Hey everybody, and welcome back to 3am Thoughts. My name is Anik and this is chapter 10, Mushrooms, Mindset and POF. This is the chapter about holding on when everyone's gently suggesting you let go. It's about earthing sheets and immunology tests and crying at Christmas commercials. It's about doing everything: gratitude journals, affirmations, yoga, doubling down on supplements when your ovaries stubbornly stay quiet. And it's about the moment when someone finally says the words you never even dreamt of, not even on your radar. Even then, I still wasn't done fighting. So let's talk about it. Chapter 9 ended with me on the floor again. Beautifully healthy reproductive system in July, ghost town ovaries by October. Sitting alone in a waiting room in tears while Marco waited outside in the car because he couldn't come in. And the fertility clinic didn't see the point in continuing. But Houri, my acupuncturist, recommended medicinal mushrooms and pointed me towards Dr. Trevor Wing at the Women's Natural Health Clinic. We made an appointment for the 15th of October 2020. I wasn't done yet. Before we dive in, I want to tell you something about writing this. Going back through all the paperwork, the emails, the results, I recognize just how vulnerable I was and how vulnerable you are on this journey. Like, looking at all the free resources I signed up for, those promises, 3 research-backed things you can do to improve your fertility starting today. I mean, they're all great. They're all optimize your health, which impact egg quality. And I tried following some of the links, but they don't exist anymore. And the emotions that it's pulling up, which I've buried. Me trying to find answers because nobody would listen. It's taking me longer than expected to write each chapter because this isn't normal research. It's surfacing memories that have been buried and triggering others at the same time. My doctor asked me recently if anybody investigated perimenopause at the time. And I was like, no, they didn't. And I wish I'd known then what I know now. I wish I'd asked for her instead of going to the doctor that was available, given to me by the receptionist. But anyway, this is 15th of October 2020, 2 years into this journey, and I was at Dr. Wing's at the Women's Natural Health Clinic. I was apprehensive, nervous, hopeful, already creating the future storyline in my head. Like, relentless positivity, I have it in abundance. If there is the remotest chance it can end how I want it to, I hold on to it until I can't anymore. It can be exhausting. I was sitting on Dr. Wing's couch recounting our history. Marco sitting next to me, my bowels flaring. And I told him about the test results, the estrogen test results from the UK fertility clinic. And his immediate response, then you're not in menopause. Your estrogen would be on the floor if you were in menopause. Hope and heart soared. He took blood for food intolerances, told me to ask my doctor for specialist immunology tests, requested the scans from the fertility clinic, and I left his clinic with homework. I was buzzing. COVID threatened again, tier 2 lockdown, but private clinics could stay open. One of the things I was doing on my long list of optimization was sleeping on an earthing sheet. I don't know whether you know them, they're sheets with silver threads that run through it, and you plug it into the mains with only an earthing pin so you don't electrocute yourself. And it's meant to reduce the electrical activity you have in your body while you sleep so your body can heal. And I swore by it for a while. I even bought it for some of my friends, but I didn't really experience that it moved the needle in any way. It just kind of made me feel better. Before my immunology results came back, second lockdown hit, I was on tenterhooks every time restrictions were announced. It was yet another thing I didn't have control over. And that's the big thing on this journey. It's the lack of control. You just don't have it. So you try and control what you can. All but one of the immunology tests came back on the 5th of November. The last went to a different hospital for analysis because apparently it was their specialty, and I had to chase it. When I finally got through, they told me that they were waiting for the doctor who requested it to ask for the results. I'm sorry, what? Why would a doctor request a test he didn't want results for? Now, after the back and forth over a couple of weeks, I finally got the results on the 18th of November. And I sent them straight to Dr. Wing. We had meeting number 2, and he prescribed my first prescription and another list of foods that I shouldn't eat. And he was the second person to tell me that I was allergic to dairy. Eating got more stressful again. Coming up to Christmas, I was emotional. Teary at commercials, films I'd normally laugh at, random times during the day. I thought I was going crazy. When I told Dr. Wing at our appointment before Christmas, he was really pleased. The medication was working. It just wasn't doing that final push, so he just needed to tweak it. I had never been so happy to be so weepy. Just relieved to know that there was a reason. In the new year, I had the new prescription and I was on fire, but it wasn't quite right. So I contacted Jessica, my homeopath, again, because the last time I was still taking one of her prescriptions at the same time. So I wanted to level the playing field again. I took another food sensitivity test, which added yet another layer of eating difficulty. I was going over everything to make sure that I was optimized. At the March appointment with Dr. Wing, we had an ultrasound. He did an FSH test. I got given a DHEA prescription. My FSH was high and my ovaries were quiet. Dr. Wing gently asked if I wanted to proceed or if I wanted to start thinking about egg donation. I wasn't ready to let go. I wanted one more try with my bowels in good shape. This was my final push. I was coming up on 43 and I didn't want to be much older before I became a mum. My own personal choice. So I was doing everything. I was motivated, hopeful, playing out positive outcomes in my head, everything. I started looking at fertility coaches, signed up for free fertility support. I read Fearlessly Fertile by Roseanne Austin and followed her advice. My morning routine: gratitude, journaling, affirmations, yoga, going for a run, She got me to reflect on all the good things from the last few years, on what I was afraid of, and got me to forgive myself for things that happened in the past. I listened to her podcast on my morning runs, that I was all in. I even considered hiring a fertility coach, but it cost a lot of money. And Marco pointed out that I didn't have problems with my mindset or positivity. Like, I had it coming out my eyeballs. My bowels seemed better. I wasn't rushing to the toilet. I started taking oxy powder, working on my mindset, and I was feeling positive for the next appointment. I was positive that the next appointment would be the one. The May ultrasound, my ovaries still quiet, but I still wasn't done. I still wasn't ready. We booked a June breakaway. We went to Port Lim Zoo and the West Country to get some fresh air and just to get away. Like, my food stresses at this point hit their peak. Even thinking about eating out or at a friend's absolutely freaked me out. Marco has the patience of a saint, because I had become obsessed with what I ate and what I put on my body. That I put myself under pressure that I really didn't need. And it's not about being perfect. It's about doing what you can whilst looking after your mental health. The COVID vaccination rolled out. So then it was to vaccinate or not to vaccinate. And for me, this was another thing that was potentially fertility disrupting. I was pulling research and studies that I could get my hands on. With the division and judgment around the vaccination, I felt the pressure to justify myself, to justify why we decided not to vaccinate whilst going through this. The UK was opening up, but I still didn't want to be inside with people. Marco even got offered VIP royal blood tickets and I turned them down. I didn't want to chance COVID. Too many friends of mine have got too ill with it. At the June ultrasound, it was still quiet, but I still wasn't done. The beginning of August, another ultrasound with Dr. Wing, and no change. He diagnosed me with premature ovarian failure and recommended I investigate egg donation. Most doctors wouldn't even class it as premature ovarian failure, even though I still had egg reserves similar to others ovulating. And the reason why? Because I was in my 40s. You can't be in premature ovarian failure when you're in your 40s, apparently. Just after my 43rd birthday, I found out what stopped my IVF cycle the year before. And I realized my mistake. Premature ovarian failure at 43. But this still isn't where the story ends. It's not where my fight ended either. In the next chapter, we'll talk about the mistake, my research to reactivate my eggs, my hunt for an IVF clinic, for donor eggs, the final vaccination decision and what Mount Etna had to say. If you're in your final push right now, optimizing everything, journaling, affirming, doing everything, I see you. The relentless positivity is exhausting. The lack of control is maddening, but you're not alone in this. Your voice deserves to be heard always. Subscribe for the next chapter and comment if this resonates. And please look after your mental health as much as your physical health. Perfection isn't the goal. Surviving this journey is. Take care.